name's Sean Chance, Vice President of Marketing at Nymi, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Nymi Band, which is what you see right here in front of you. More specifically, this is something called the Nymi Band Discovery Kit, which is our developer product. It's geared for developers, and it's available at the current time at nymi.com. The price of the Nymi Band Discovery Kit is $149, and with that you get the final hardware Nymi Band, which you see here. You also get the proprietary USB charging cable that you see here, and you get a USB Bluetooth module to be used with Windows computers.
So can I just show people the Nymi Band on your wrist?
Sure, yeah.
This is what it looks like when you're wearing it.
Yeah. Actually, here, and I'll get you a better shot with the lights on it actually flashing once you put it on. So yeah, once you put it on, it'll actually tell you the battery life, and after that it will go into its active state. So it's actually looking right now to pair with an application. Okay, so let me give you a quick overview of the Nymi Band hardware. So the Nymi Band hardware has two primary parts. The first part is the actual band itself, so this portion here. And the band itself is actually not just made out of rubber, it actually has a continuity circuit running through it. So you can't actually see that, but that's how that we detect you actually have the Nymi Band on. If someone were to take the Nymi Band off of you or cut it, it would actually deactivate the device. This other part here of the Nymi Band is called the core. So the core itself has a sensor here, so the bottom sensor underneath acts both as an adjustment for the Nymi Band to fine-tune your sizing, but this also sits against your wrist and is part of the mechanism we use to authenticate who you are based on your heart's unique signature or your ECG.
So just before you go, can you just briefly just describe and talk about how you came up with the idea?
Sure.
And how, what was the genesis of
Absolutely.
Of Nymi? So.
Sure. So the Nymi Band is a device that solves a big problem, which is the problem of identity. We think that the way that people provide their identity today is very problematic, creates a lot of friction, and we think it's something that can be improved. That's why we came up with the Nymi Band. So if you think of all the different places that you have to provide your identity, so think of passwords, pins, every time you use your credit card, think of access to physical spaces, think of unlocking your car, going through an airport. Any of those things require a transactional type of input from you as a user. Now imagine if you could just take all of those different points of friction and make them melt away. That's essentially what the Nymi Band does. It's a device that does identity on your behalf in a persistent way, and we do that using a very unique biometric, which is your heartbeat. So your heartbeat is as individual to you as a fingerprint is. So everybody's is different. And based on that, the Nymi Band is actually able to take a reading of your ECG when you actually place a finger on top of it, completing a circuit through your body. And once you do that, the Nymi Band is able to take that reading and match it against your template to determine that you're actually you. Now once the Nymi Band has established that you're actually you, it will go into what we call an active state or an authenticated state. And from that point forward, any device or service that you specify can be, for example, unlocked by the Nymi Band. So I can give you an example of my Windows computer here.
Because you mentioned that with the Discovery Kit, there are 3 applications for Windows that you get, right?
That's right. So the Nymi Band Discovery Kit comes with 3 different applications. The first one is the Nymi Companion application, which is the screen for your Nymi Band. So essentially it's what allows you to create your profile, to modify that profile, enhance it, delete it, any of those things. The second is the Windows Unlock application, which is an application that allows you to unlock your Windows computer without using a password, using only an authorized Nymi Band that you have authenticated. And the third application, which we're just about to release, is actually a password vault, which is a very safe and secure way for you to store your passwords locally on your Windows computer, and from there only access those passwords if you have an activated Nymi Band. So those are the first 3 applications that we have, and we're actually working right now on the Mac and Android and iOS versions of those 3 applications.
So let's have a look at it in action.
Sure.
So this is a Lenovo computer, funnily enough, has a fingerprint reader.
Yeah, that has the fingerprint reader, so again, the transactional. So what we'll do is we'll fire up the, I'm going to put on my Nymi Band as if, so here's what we'll do. I'll give you a scenario, okay? So here's a possible use case for the Nymi Band. So you wake up in the morning and you put on your Nymi Band, and so you put it on like this. You would wear it by clasping the top. you would then see these LED lights flashing, telling you that the battery life is 4 out of 5, so about 80%, and then the Nymi band is looking to pair with a device.
What is the battery life approximately?
The battery life is approximately 5 days on the Nymi band, and the charge time is about 2 hours. So what I'm doing now is I'm opening up my Nymi companion application, and I'm going to activate my Nymi band and prove to it that I'm actually me. So by clicking on this, the Nymi band is now looking to authenticate my identity, and I'm going to do that by putting my finger on top of the band. And now if you look at the screen, you'll see that it's actually taking several readings. So there you go. So after a few brief moments now, it's actually just pulsed and vibrated on my wrist, letting me know that it's now in an active state. So from this point on, for as long as I wear the Nymi band and that I don't break the magnetic clasp, the Nymi band will stay in an activated state. So at this point what I could do is close this application, and because I've set up the Windows Unlock app on my computer, I'll just go ahead and lock my computer. So my computer's now locked, and if I were to try to get into it, normally I would have to type a password. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my authenticated Nymi band to actually get into my computer. And so that's something very simple. I'm just going to click on the Nymi icon here, and now it's looking for my activated Nymi band, which it has found, and now I'm into my computer without using a password.
Is there a way to set it up that it doesn't need even the clicking? When you are within range of the system, it would just be unlocked?
Sure, there's actually a lot of possibilities for this mechanism, and so right now with the Nymi band discovery kit, we're using this type of user flow. But in the future, we really like the idea of offering users the ability to, for example, lock their computer when they walk away from it, or have it unlocked when they come a certain proximity from it.
And that's obviously something that either you yourself develop an app or a third party,
That's
or
right.
even OEMs could include that within the software of the laptop out of the box.
That's right.
So now I know this obviously there's the 3 apps you mentioned, but you are working with developers. Obviously, this is what this is for. So can you just talk a little bit about some of the ideas that developers have, and also talk about the other big area that I think you have a big push in is mobile payments.
Sure.
And how Nymi helps make mobile payments better.
Sure, so there's quite a few exciting things happening with Nymi this year. Aside from shipping the Discovery Kit, we are doing some really exciting pilot projects with partners like RBC and MasterCard in Canada. So that pilot actually is consisting of using your Nymi band as a device to make mobile payments. So by linking it to a MasterCard, you would be able to then use an authenticated Nymi band using the procedure that you just saw here, and with the Nymi band being authenticated, you would then be able to make a credit card payment in a very safe and secure way. So we think that's a really interesting use case for the Nymi band, because it solves one of the problems of proof of identity with credit cards. Another one of the things that the Nymi team is working on is the idea of physical space access. So think right now of how you would get into, for example, your office space. So we've got some great partners like Brevo Labs, who's a company that does physical space access, and have demonstrated ways of using the Nymi band instead of what you're using right now, which is probably like a swipe card or a key fob.
And again, it can be as simple as not even having to do anything. You just walk up to that door, and if you're wearing the band, it's unlocked.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
the idea being we want to try to change the way that people think of providing their identity, and going from something that right now is very transactional, which is swiping, tapping pins, and so on, to literally walking through your environment and having devices and services that you specify recognize you.
And one of the things we talked about earlier was that you are saying that this technology could be licensed to hardware partners, possibly to integrate in other products, right?
Yeah, so the Nymi band right now is the way that we are going about creating our ecosystem. It is our hardware, and we're creating a lot of first-party applications right now. As third-party apps continue to come out and we build out the Nymi ecosystem, we'll have to see if there's other ways for us to broaden access to that ecosystem, but that's something that we'll be looking at further down the road.
Now, the last thing I wanted to let our readers know about is that we were talking a little bit about security and how Nymi in the biometric space is a next level of security. There's been some stories lately about how people have been able to, read people's fingerprints and photographs, and so how would you say, from a security perspective, what makes Nymi the most secure biometric authentication platform
Sure.
right now?
So I mean, I think every one of the biometrics has its own strengths and weaknesses. One of the things that's inherent to things like fingerprint is the fact that they can be lifted in different ways. One of the things that we really like about the heartbeat technology and using someone's ECG, as in the Nymi, is that you're actually able to use something that's very much internal. It makes it a lot more difficult to spoof, and also because it's something that remains relatively consistent within one individual over time and is very unique, so it's about as unique as a fingerprint is to an individual, that it offers a brand new kind of biometric that is interesting to use.
So, just to recap, just so people don't forget, this is available now.
Sure. So we've actually just released the Nymi Band Discovery Kit for any international viewers that are seeing this. It's available for $149 at nymi.com, and we're really excited to see what developers start building with it.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I'm looking forward to maybe hopefully testing it out myself, and also the Android applications are what I'm excited about. Being able to authenticate my phone without having to fuss around with passwords. Or, interestingly, I have a phone that has a fingerprint scanner. It's kind of a pain in the ass to use. So, but I appreciate, I want better security than just a bunch of digits I type into the screen. And yeah, thanks again. This is Alex from Tom's Hardware at CES 2015, checking out the Nymi Band.